And away we go. Let's get this pulled up. 1, 2, 1, 2, 0 viewers. Very nice. We're doing very well. We're going to be famous one day. That's all I got to say. Anyway, let's pull something up. Something interesting to look at. That's not out of date. Let's just pull up Twitter. See what's fucking going on. Anyway. More Grok news. We got a great scrap on FFC 87. All right, let's check this out. There's probably live fights going on right now. We can fucking watch them, I bet. If I could pull up Dude, Fight Pass is so fucking expensive. So expensive for no reason. Lower the price or actually increase the price and add pay-per-views on every month and just have their own separate streaming service. That's what the UFC should do. Fuck ESPN Plus and their fucking crazy prices. Chael, what's he up to? Not much. Won championship. Bibiano Fernandez retired today. That was a good fight between him and that guy. Martin Nguyen also retired, the Australian guy. That was interesting. Oh, here's Ibo Aslan taking on Anton Turkalj. Fucking flatlining him. Murdering dudes. Canada beat the United States. Not bad, not bad. Respect. I saw Tate and Rampage. No, not Tate and Rampage. Who was it that Cutman Tate and somebody else, they were on there. And it was something to do with the flat earth stuff. Let's see if we can't find that. Flat Earth. I'm literally just going to type in flat earth. I bet it'll be one of the top things that shows up. Just watch. Nope, it's not. Impressive. All right. Jackson Podcast, then we go. Bet they fucking posted them themselves. I'm not a big fan of this bear guy. Oh, of course, they're training with Mackenzie Dern. Woo. Don't even get me started on that stupid Forrest Griffin shit, man. It's so weird. Just awkward, bro. Why are we talking like that in this day and age? It's just so fake. Fucking bullshit, man. All right, fighter react. Well, here's Crazy Kev back at it again. Gregor Rodriguez says he was offered to fight Ikram Al-Scarf per the Jackson. Oh, that's from a while ago. Where were those clips, man? I saw it earlier. Here we go. Cutman Tate, the only man with an actual brain here. Let's take a listen to this shit. Insane what we've got going on here. Let's see if I can't figure out how to play the audio from this.
Are you a flat earther? I'm a flat earther.
Are you a flat earther?
Is it cruising? I don't fucking know if you guys can hear that shit, but we'll take a listen to it.
Flat earthers.
All right. Backing it up.
Are you a flat earther?
Yeah.
Are you a flat earther?
Are you a flat earther?
Never get hit in the head again. Flat earthers. Y'all have been around the world and should know that the earth is round.
That's how I know
That's
it's
how you
flat.
know it's flat.
So what happens? You just run into a wall?
Well,
That's
if
physics.
the earth is curved, right, and it's going straight,
It was
and the earth
Rashad.
is curving, at some point,
fuck,
wouldn't
dude.
it fly off into space if it didn't tilt down?
Bro,
I gotta
Rashad,
ask you
dog.
just one question.
What are we
Listen,
doing,
what is a
man?
plane?
An airplane.
What are we
I
doing?
ain't said airplane.
Oh, a plane. Okay, that's flat. A flat surface. Okay, I got you.
And what is an airplane? No, be honest. Answer the question. What is an airplane?
So
Man,
you air
Rashad,
over a
what has
plane,
happened,
you
bro?
take it, right?
He got on
Right, so what
the
did it say? What did it
the
say?
good
Put
sauce,
put it
the
together.
toad.
So
10-8
you an
Toad,
airplane
whatever
over
it
a
is.
plane. What does sea level mean?
Okay, so
he just
level-
got crazy,
see,
bro.
let me ask you a
Is it
question.
called sea curve?
Love Rashad.
Let me get this straight.
He got
Seems like
cooked.
Oh, hey, you got
get
cooked.
cooked.
He's cooked.
Hey,
He's cooked.
Where's
medium well or extra well done?
Let's back it up.
How you know it's flat?
So what?
You
I
a
gotta
flat
watch
earther?
this one.
Are you a flat earther?
Yeah.
Are you a flat earther?
No, these motherfuckers should never get hit in the head again. Flat earthers. Y'all have been around the world and should know that the earth is round.
That's how I know
That's
it's
how you
flat.
know it's flat.
So what happens? You just run into a wall?
Well,
That's
if
physics.
the earth is curved, right, and it's going straight, and the earth is curving, at some point, wouldn't it fly off into space if it didn't tilt down?
I gotta ask you just one question. Listen, what is a plane?
An airplane.
I ain't said airplane.
Oh, a plane. Okay, that's flat. A flat surface. Okay, I got you.
Oh, my
And
word.
what is an airplane? No, be honest. Answer the question. What is an airplane?
So if you air over a plane, then I would
These
think.
guys have got to be stupid,
Right. So
bro.
what
There's
is that?
no
What
way.
did it say? Put it together.
There's no way.
So you in air flying over a plane. What does sea level mean?
Okay, so level. See, let me ask you a
Is
question.
it called sea curve?
Let me get this right.
He got cooked.
Yo, hey, you got
You got to be just fucking with
Hey,
him, bro.
look, hey, you
Where's
like
Where's
it?
Nick?
Medium well or extra well done?
There's no way all three of them are not. There's no way they're all three of
You
them
a flat
flat
earther?
Earth except for
Being a
Are
flat
you a
earther.
flat earther?
commentate, bro. That is. Jackson Podcast doing a fantastic job in tarnishing the image of everyone involved. If you're a normal, rational human being, this isn't brain rot. This is a step further. This is straight up old CTE. God damn, bro. Holy crap. Bear's the worst part of the Jackson Podcast. Jackson Podcast will live in infamy as the cringiest UFC podcast ever. Gutted. It's really not, bro. I haven't watched a bunch of it. I've listened to it. In fairness, I don't know what the hell they're doing on the video side of things. Jake, did you bring up the Forrest Griffin episode on the podcast? Forrest choked out Shogun so he could wrestle on the Jackson Podcast. Forrest said that he had a concussion going into the Silva fight. What the fuck is Forrest Griffin talking about on his Jackson Podcast? This is so screwed up. Didn't we enough bullshit with Bryce? Now this is unfucking real. What did Bryce Mitchell say today? Something came out with Bryce Mitchell about how he's doing a second episode. He's going to do a second episode. Well, he's fighting in karate combat. Bryce Mitchell's competing in a 180-pound pit submission grappling match against Israeli prospect Ilia Topuria 6-0 at Karate Combat on February 28th in Denver, Colorado. Shoot, dude. All the stuff he was saying about, Jewish people or whatever. Bro. Now he's got to fight some guy from Israel. Very interesting there. All right, where's the fucking video? I swear he had a video that I saw. This is what happens when you're too busy to be a fucking YouTuber, dude. This is just stupid shit. I just do this shit for fun, man. I'm not trying to be fucking famous or do anything like that. I always see like super negative ass comments in my comment section. Like, just chill the fuck out. It's just something to do for fun. It's like my hobby. Here we go. Here's how it started. Ilia Topuria, Thug Nasty. You are brave with your opinions in front of the camera. Ha, disappointed to hear that from an athlete in your level because I had no idea that you're dumb, but Josh probably destroyed that brain. Me and my Jewish friends will not be quiet about that, and if you really think like that, I welcome you to keep that same energy next time you are around me because I will come right to you. Enough with the stupid people around. They feel too comfortable. Interesting development here. And I know that President Awesome, he definitely was talking shit, saying stuff about Bryce. And you know what? Whatever. More power to him. Here's Ariel reacting to it. 180 pounds, February 28th. I mean, that's like just over a week away, isn't it? That's like 8 days away. Here, let's take a listen to what Ariel had to
Yes,
say.
there's more breaking news. Yeah, there's more breaking news, guys.
Oh,
I'm
wow,
sorry
he's
to
back.
jump
More
in.
breaking news?
I'm sorry to jump in.
More
Yes, there's
breaking
more
news,
breaking news.
okay.
There's
Okay,
all
wow.
kinds of
My
craziness. I
God.
don't mean to interrupt.
Okay, go
Just
on.
never
No,
heard
no,
it.
no,
What
let's
do we
hear it. Let's hear it.
interruption? But by the way, this is the dream right here. This is exactly what we all envisioned when we thought about doing a show each and every day, Monday through Friday. We're able to connect with people. We're able to break news. We didn't want to just be a once a week or twice a week operation. This is the dream right
I mean,
here.
this is a
and so I'm happy
24-hour
all
news
this-
network at this
Yes.
point. I mean, we're just going.
See if
Let's,
they flag
let's
us for
hear it.
copyright.
What do we
I don't
got,
know
baby?
if shit
And
works
this isn't Joseph Parker,
Fucking
Martin McCall.
Part-time in this shit.
No, that
Fun.
would be.
Okay, wow, that's
that would
old
be
news.
kind
That's
of
old
weird.
hat.
That's
It
done.
is. All right, fill us in. What do we
That is
got?
5 minutes ago. That is 5 minutes ago. Okay.
Okay, what do we got?
This via our friends from Karate Combat. Karate Combat 53 is happening next Friday. That's Friday,
Okay.
February 28th in Denver at the National Western Complex. Now they have this thing called pit submission. They
Yes.
do this thing where they have these like grappling matches in
Yeah.
these sort of like pit-like structures. And so
Okay.
they've just confirmed with me that
I
at
have no idea where he's going
KC
with
53 Denver, pit submission featured bout at 180 pounds. It's going to be a young man named Eli Barzilai. Now, Eli Barzilai may not be a household name to all the fans out there,
This is
but
wild.
I can tell you that he is an undefeated
Wild
MMA
shit.
fighter. He is 6-0. His nickname is The Hype is Real. He is in his mid-20s. He's a big-time prospect, and worth noting that he's probably the biggest prospect coming out of Israel right now. He's very proud of his country. He's a very proud Israeli fighter who is doing
Bro,
some big
GC's
things
face
over
here,
in
dog.
LFA. A lot of people
What's
think
his
he's
name?
very close
Eric
to
or
getting
what?
to
I
the
think his
UFC,
name's Eric. He doesn't even
and
fucking
he
care.
does
GC
fight a lot out
doesn't
of
even give a shit
and train a
either.
lot out of Las
be honest
Vegas.
there.
And so, not to belabor the point, they have signed Eli Barzilai in a 180-pound catchweight bout.
Bro,
At
they were really
KC
like
53
dragging this shit out and
Denver
like playing
in
it
a
up
pit
like
submission
as if it's a
featured
good thing that he said
match
some of that shit that he
against
said.
Thug
Like, let's take
Nasty
advantage of it and make some money.
Bryce Mitchell. And so
What
it
the
is
fuck are we
going to
doing?
be
Like, do you
Eli
want
Barzilai
people? Do you want this
representing
stuff?
Israel
This stupid shit that Bryce
against
Mitchell was saying. Like,
Bryce
do you
Mitchell,
want
who,
people
of
to
course, it must
continue
be
to
said,
believe that?
was
This is
caught
how
in the
you draw
crossfire just a
people
couple
out
of
into
weeks ago
public.
when
You,
on the
you keep
the very
talking
first
about it.
episode of
And what
Arkansas
Ariel's
Sanity,
doing every other day,
he
where he's
went on
complaining
this,
about
this
how
disgusting
dare
rant
he speak about
Adolf
my
Hitler
people like
and
this.
about
Like,
what he was trying
dude,
to do
it's awful what he
back when
said.
he was alive and in power,
Nobody's
and
saying
about
otherwise.
Jewish
I say
people,
nobody.
and so they are,
Basically,
let's be honest,
nobody
tapping right
is saying
into
what
it.
Bryce Mitchell said makes
they have
any
signed this
fucking
for
sense.
next
Fucking
Friday.
stupid what he's fucking saying. But you keep dragging it on and keep playing it up like, oh, Dana, I can't wait for Bryce's next fight. He's going to get his ass fucking beat. They're going to talk about this in the lead up to Bryce's next fight. Like, you see where I'm going with this? There's no end. You're just going to keep talking about this and keep bringing it up and keeping it in the news cycle. Well, we don't want that. We don't want people that think the way that Bryce Mitchell does. We don't want people thinking that way all the time, all over the place. You don't want more people coming out in public and being like, okay, it's okay to say that Hitler was a good guy. Like, what the fuck are we talking about, dog? I already talked about this in a video a while back. Like, Ariel and Luke Thomas and all of them brought this out of the woodworks, okay? It was on Rumble. I post on Rumble. I get 0 views, and the views I do get, they're all fucking robots, okay? They're all basically robots. If you continue to bring this shit up when there were only 500 people that watched that fucking video, half of which were probably robots, the other half of which probably thought it was retarded until he said all the dumb shit that he said, and then they were just like, whoa, okay, that's just too much for me. How many people of that 500 would even watch that? Like, let's be honest. Who was going to tune in for a second episode? Very few. That podcast was awful. Awful. Not just because of the stupid shit he was saying, but it just wasn't good content. And to continue on, like, hey, we're going to keep talking about Bryce Mitchell, keep talking about all this stuff going on around it. Like, people think that shunning him and continuing to beat him down and what the Jackson podcast did, bringing him on and then shitting on him, that's not how you get rid of that. Stop talking about that. Stop bringing it up. You're putting a spotlight on Bryce and you're putting a spotlight on what he said. And this brings people out of hiding. It doesn't make any sense. Stop doing that. And for Ariel to complain day in and day out about the negativity of the MMA fan base and how terrible the MMA fan base is, get the fuck out of here with that, man. It's not how the world works. Nobody thinks that way anymore. And to pretend like all these MMA fans are such bigots and evil people, get out of here. Believe what you want to believe. What is going on here? Like, dude, I don't understand the problem. Luke Thomas is probably the worst at it. Ariel's close second, just whining and crying about everything.
Yeah, there's more.
Jedi Goodman, I believe this guy's got me blocked, but ready for it. Somebody comments and then says he's a legend. I swear there was a Bryce Mitchell video about all this. Let's type in podcast, see if anything pulls up. We'll see if anything. Yep, that's fun. What does he say here? Thug Nasty. Yeah, it was like this Instagram, like Bryce Mitchell announces there will be more episodes of a podcast, begging the question, how much further can one go after praising Mr. Adolf? answer. Candace Owen runs a great program. I'd like for him to copy how she does it. Again, there's people out there that believe certain things about what do you call it, the Holocaust, and how it wasn't as bad as it was. It's blown out of proportion. There's people out there that believe that, and like again, I said this yesterday. I was live streaming. Like, I'm not a huge conspiracy theorist, but I always try to like the flat Earth thing. We were just talking about that a minute ago. Like, maybe there's some validity in every conspiracy theory. Maybe you have to scientifically break down fucking dumbass conspiracy theories and dumbass shit like flat Earth. You have to take it from a scientific approach. And in taking a scientific approach, you have to come from the perspective of like pretending that they are right. Okay, Bryce Mitchell, maybe he's right. So let's see why he's not. And there's so much shit that proves that he's so fucking wrong and so fucking dumb for saying any of that shit. But it puts people in a bad light that maybe have theories about stuff, right? Like he's taking things out of proportion. Like the education system in America, it's pretty shit. And for him to then say like they're teaching the wrong stuff and doing this and doing that and the blah, 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 like whatever he was saying about the education system, like, okay, there's people out there that believe a little piece of what he was saying, but then he takes it so far, and now people like Ariel and Luke, they're like, look at how evil Bryce Mitchell is. And anybody who thinks anything like Bryce Mitchell, any Christian out there is just evil. Like, get out of here, man. Sorry that Luke Thomas is just some atheistic fucking nerd that sits in his basement all day and talks about MMA all day. I mean, that's what I'm doing right here, but I'm doing it part-time. This is just for fun. Like, I don't fucking care, man. I'm not taking this personally. When I see comments online about this shit, about the stupid videos that I fucking make, I don't give a fucking shit, man. And Luke Thomas and Ariel Helwani have such big egos, like, I've been wanting to do this my whole life. You know, all I do is write about MMA and talk about MMA all day. Like, you think I don't wish that I could do that for my fucking job? Yeah, but I also wouldn't fucking care if people were shitting on me unless it was something that I said that was absolutely wrong. But these guys have such an ego problem. I just get tired of it. Everybody in the media, just fucking stupid, man. And I know, like, journalists are just not the same as they used to be. The journalist needs to be the bad guy. Okay? Ariel Helwani always wants to be the good guy. Always wants to be the good guy. And I get fucking tired of it. Always making excuses for things that happen between him and other fighters. Always stirring shit up. Always baiting fighters into saying crazy shit. I get fucking tired of it. It's exhausting. Because as a journalist, you are supposed to be the bad guy 24/7. You're supposed to ask the hard questions. So in a lot of sense, I agree with Dana White in the aspect of you as a media person nowadays take things in such a different direction than it needs to be taken. You push narratives when you're not the one that's supposed to be pushing narratives. That's not how this goes. You're supposed to be asking the hard questions. Okay? You're not supposed to have this bias towards one side or the other. You're supposed to ask the hard questions that Dana doesn't want to answer, that so-and-so doesn't want to answer. There were many examples of Luke Thomas and Ariel doing this very, very well 10, 15 years ago. You can go back and watch the videos where they're asking hard questions, and Dana shrugs them off. And now, 15, 10 years later, they're crying about how they were mistreated. No, you're a journalist, and that's what happens when you ask the hard questions and you do your job right. When Bryce Mitchell says this kind of stuff, ask Dana the questions. It's just what you have to do. It's news, right? And I think that Luke Thomas and Ariel Helwani were two of the big guys that blew this stuff out of proportion. Almost nobody would have even known about this podcast that Bryce Mitchell has, but they blow it out of proportion, and then they're the ones that complain about us, the MMA fans, being so terrible, so bigoted, so just evil. What? How many MMA fans watch your show? MMA fans are watching the MMA Hour, are watching Morning Combat. Get the fuck out of here with all this, MMA fans are the worst. MMA fans are just so terrible. I can't believe MMA fans. Ariel and Luke say this shit all the time on a weekly basis, talking about how bad MMA fan base is, how bad the MMA media is, how bad everything surrounding MMA Twitter, so bad, MMA social media, so bad. But who's watching your fucking show? MMA fans, miss me with your bullshit, dude. You want to call out specific people? Go for it. Do whatever you want to do. But stop putting this big old umbrella over everybody saying that we're all the same. We're all lumped in together. Get the fuck out of here. I'm tired of it. And that's my fucking problem with the media. It's stupid as shit. And there's no point in anybody paying attention to media members in the UFC right now. Go watch Lucas Tracy. Go watch MMA Guru. Okay? Let's pull it up. Who am I subscribed to? I'm not subscribed to ESPN MMA. That's not my shit. No way, man. Fight Fairy, like she does some decent stuff. Jake Shields kind of stupid sometimes, but he has interesting guests on there. Lucas Tracy. I mean, I subscribe to Morning Combat, but like I just keep up with it because it's news and like whatever. I plug it in, put it on the headphones while I'm at work or something like that. It's different. James Lynch. Go subscribe to James Lynch if you want some real MMA takes. Musical MMA is fun. Full Mount MMA. These are much more fun, much more unbiased, unannoying, unegotistical, unnarcissistic. Why even try to watch anything else? There's plenty of small YouTubers that talk about this for fun. Why the fuck would you tune into Morning Combat in the middle of the afternoon, in the middle of the morning? Why would you tune into Ariel for 4 hours, bait half of his guests into saying some dumb crap? Like, why? Why would you want to watch that on a daily basis and then for them to turn around and call you scum of the earth? Why would you do that? I don't get it, man. It's just not even, it's not worth being involved in. And I just get tired of it. I get tired of hearing about it. Anyway, enough of that. Should we get into this weekend's fights, man? Some of these names that I won't ever be able to pronounce in my life. We don't have PFL this weekend. No, we don't. Actually, let's look at the PFL. Let's check out what's going on in the PFL right now. They're announcing and bringing up some big shit right now. Let's see what they've got going on. They're like coming out with all their season format stuff. Going away. So they're coming forward with all these new developments and these new who's going to be in the season this year, that stuff. If I can ever find any of it. They're going to be in Orlando. Phil Davis apparently is going to be showcased, and Tyler Santos also making her appearance here, of course. Two of your best fighters. Man, Phil Davis has been boring as shit, though, the past couple of years. My God. All right, so it's going to be first round, April 3rd, 11th, 18, and the 1st, bro. Universal Studios Stage 19. I went there for some kind of event back in the day. Tiny, tiny venue. Not a very big venue at all. This Stage 19 is like shoved in the corner behind a restaurant, behind a roller coaster ride, like tiny venue. These guys were struggling to sell out 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 seat arenas, and nobody was showing up when they were in the Middle East for their events, bro. And you think that this is a good look? Downgrading to maybe 1,000 seat venue? It doesn't even have seats. It's just an open floor. It's a stage at Universal Studios. You get to pull in stadium seating and have like 5,000 seats maybe. I don't know. Maybe 1,000 people can see that. I mean, it's going to be like a cool, intimate environment, but that's not a good look. That's not good. Let's look at the women's roster. Women's flyweight. Don't care. That Dakota Jicheva is one of the few women out there that I've even cared to watch. Just because she actually fights with like some anger, with some like animosity. She fights hard and like dangerous, throws elbows and shit, man. I was pretty impressed with her in her last fight, but I just don't care. First round, semifinals, finals. So they're going to have 3 events, $20 million on the line. just don't care enough, man. They can't get me to care. Like, the problem is they've driven off any interest and driven off anybody who really cares. Andrei Koreshkov, Jason Jackson's in here, Magomed Umalatov, Berkamov, Storley. I mean, like, these are decent names. Some of the better names you could get, I suppose. But, like, real talk, I just don't care, man. Like, they've driven me completely away from what they're doing. I don't care at all anymore. It's over. I was interested in the PFL at first. Like, you get into it, you start watching every week. But you just can't. It can't be sustained. It's just goofy. Like, this is good stuff, but that's Bellator. Stop playing these fucking highlights from Bellator. It's fake, man. It's fraudulent. They're running a fraudulent promotion. And Aaron Pico did that interview with Luke Thomas and said a lot of shit, exposed a lot of shit the PFL's doing. Jeremy Kennedy, Gabriel Braga, Habulayev, Nathan Kelly, Yves Lando, Adam Boric, Jesus Pinedo. Like, the featherweights, it's like a good... I'll probably tune in, watch it, because whatever, I probably won't be doing anything. But you're playing all these highlights like it's some crazy, crazy event. Can't miss. But, like, these are all, for the most part, Bellator highlights, and I just don't give a shit. It's fake. It's like when they announced the change to the elbows, man. All those highlights they were playing was just fucking Bellator highlights. Speaking of fun, not the PFL, but something actually fun. RoboCop, Roberto Soldic, the last guy to take out DDP to get the win over DDP. Check this shit out, man. Great fucking fight. Great fucking knockout for a while it lasted, man. It's like a minute into the fight, minute and a half in. Just fucking cleans this motherfucker's clock. Watch this shit.
Here we go. Roberto on top of the circle.
Oh my word. Face plants the dude. And I thought, much like everybody else, I was kind of half watching this while I was working. And I was like, I turned my head, kind of glanced at it. I was like, oh shit, freaking out.
Yeah, look at this.
I thought it was fake at first, just the way that he like barely clips him. But, bro, Bink, he puts him fucking out. And he just puts his face flat on the canvas. Like, the dude is out cold, and just, I haven't seen many knockouts like that. That's wild. He caught him like half off 1 foot, off balance, midair, just right into the ground, face straight into the ground. Beautiful work there from Roberto Soldic on 171. One puts on some great shit. And their MMA, right now, their MMA divisions are just a mess. Cade Rutolo in his like third or fourth MMA fight. Great stuff by him. Gets on top of the guy. Kind of beats him up a little bit. I like the ground and pound, what I was seeing. He's got to be able to learn how to mix it up. And I think this fight was a really, really great example of him mixing the martial arts, where he's striking immediately in on takedowns. He did that, I think, twice, where he was throwing a punch or throwing some kind of strike and was immediately shooting a takedown in on the guy right after that. Perfect. That's exactly what we need. Great shot, that Bibiano Fernandez going out on a win, 44 years old. Great stuff by that guy. Very, very great to see him go out on a win. Not sure how they dragged him out of retirement. Dude was 44 getting back in there against an opponent that he beat three. Did he beat him 3 times? Maybe twice. I don't remember exactly. Cade, after the fight, said he popped the guy's ankle. He had him in a fucking ankle lock here, rolling with it. He said he felt it pop. And a lot of these guys, like, they just let it go. And it might just be like, when you pop your knuckles, right? My ankle does that sometimes. It just gives out, you can pop your ankle like that. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. But the guy kept fighting, and then eventually got him down, took him down, and subbed him, and it was pretty impressive. Everybody got $50K bonuses that had good performances. One of the ladies, of course, don't really care there, but Cade Rutolo, Shamil Edragon, or whatever, however you say his fucking name, took out Ong Song in the second fight. I don't know why they were rematching an immediate fight when it was pretty one-sided in the first fight. Shamil dominated him and then got the easy knockout in this one. Soldich and then Josh Paccio. I did not watch the Jared Brooks and Joshua Paccio fight, but I'd imagine it went well. Haggerty, I think I saw he got the win. That one was fucking putting me to sleep. That fight was not very entertaining at all. Not anything that I needed to watch again. Roy, or however you say it, Rui, unimpressive. Had a moment in the first round where he was kind of getting to Haggerty, but Haggerty kind of took over from that point on. Anyway, that's what happened today in the one championship. Fun stuff, good stuff. Who is that? Jason Holf. Thanks, Chael, for the update there. Anything else going on? More fights on Fight Pass going down. We saw that earlier. Islam Makhachev's coach came out and said that he wants to see Ilia fight one time at lightweight before taking on Makhachev. I mean, I guess. Who's he going to fight? Poirier? Charles? There just aren't really options out there for Ilia to really, like, it's a risk. He's small. He's short. He's like 5'6", and he's moving up to lightweight. Where there's guys like Jalen Turner, Ignacio Bahamondes, 6'3", just monsters, just absolutely giant freaks. Joel Alvarez, like 6'2", 6'3". I mean, Ilia's got tough outs at lightweight if he decides to stick around up a weight class. Like, that's going to be wild shit if he sticks around and does that. If he pulls it off at lightweight, gets it done against Islam Makhachev, we're talking real GOAT status, and I don't know who can really deny that. Like, if you go on a knockout run of Volk, Max, and then Islam Makhachev all in a row, is there a better 3-fight win streak? Is there? I don't think so. I couldn't name you one off the top of my head. I know there were great wins with the one-night tournaments over in Pride, but that's totally different. You'd have to go back to those days to look at like three-fight run where guys were fighting early and often, all the time, anywhere, any place, anywho, but it was in one of those tournaments, maybe one of the middleweight tournaments for Pride, or was it light heavyweight? Probably a middleweight tournament, just fucking loaded with guys in one night, having to take on 3 guys in one night, essentially. That's what you'd have to go back to find just something that good. But it's not even, I can't even equate that. None of that's even the same just because of how much the sport has evolved. There's no comparison. People always talk about this all the time. It's the argument of like fighters back then just were not as skilled as they are now. We talked about this yesterday. Like Anderson Silva's resume is great, and the run that he went on, fantastic. Beats some of the legends of the sport, but guy for guy, fight after fight, it was not the same as what some of these guys have to go through. Look at Merab's resume compared to a bantamweight from any other time in the last 10 years. Like it's fucking crazy what that guy's done. It's crazy what Merab had to do to get to the title shot. These guys are so much more skilled than anybody 20 years ago. And you just can't pretend to say any of that. You cannot say that guys back in the day were more skilled. Guys like Chris Lieben, who fought Anderson Silva. Great fighter, fun fighter, love the guy, legend, absolute fucking warrior. But not on the same skill level whatsoever as guys that Merab's fighting on the come-up, and that was a title fight. Ricky Simone, yeah, he lost there. Brad Katona, Casey Kenny, like these are the guys at the very, very bottom, and these are already guys that, if you're hardcore, you know the names. Are they great fighters? No, they're not the best, but like, look at this run that he goes on. John Dodson, Cody Stamen, Marlon Moraes, former title challenger, Jose Aldo, former long-time reigning champion, Peter Yan, former champion, Henry Cejudo, former champion, Sean O'Malley, former champion, Umar Nurmagomedov, one of these guys that was looked at as he's going to be the future of the sport. He's going to be the future of everything. Umar was. and he dispatched of all of them. Yes, by decision mostly, but that's just is what it is. That's his fighting style. He comes after you with just all steam ahead. He is called the Machine for a reason, and he's earned that nickname. And I mean, the dude's fucking insane in the way he fights. There's nobody else like that. And who knows what it really is? It's the guy on steroids. Is he juiced up? I don't know. I don't know how you can operate at such a high level, and there's rumors out there that he doesn't train on any given time period. He doesn't eat really well. He diets improperly. He trains at random times. He's not on a schedule. He's not disciplined, and yet he still goes out there and does that, even if you're on steroids, even if you're juiced up. Like, how is that even possible? How is that even possible? I don't believe that it even is. I don't believe you can do that purely just based on getting a little juiced up. There's just no way. The way he's going out there, just ragdolling Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo, Olympic wrestler, Triple C for a reason. Dude's a gold medalist in wrestling out of the United States, which is one of the best countries for wrestling out there. Guys over there in Russia can say what they want. Guys over there in the Caucasus Mountains can say what they want. Like, they're solid. They're great. They're great. They're right neck and neck with us. That's what we're talking about. We are top tier when it comes to countries that wrestle. Not the best, not every time, but really, really solid. And Merab's out here ragdolling Henry Cejudo. Merab did not wrestle on a collegiate level on the come-up. Look at what Zhang Weili did to Tatiana Suarez. Tatiana Suarez got shucked off multiple times in that fight. She did well in the first round, caught Zhang Weili, took her down, rode her out for the rest of the round, but it was not like overly impressive anything Tatiana was doing. And I was looking forward to that fight, but it fucking stunk it up. They both laid an egg. I felt like Zhang Weili easily could have tried to finish that fight in multiple moments, but just didn't take the opportunities when they came. Did not realize how poor Tatiana Suarez was doing in certain realms of that fight. Just didn't care to watch the rest of that fight. Didn't pay attention to it. Not going to break it down again. I'm not the expert here. Just talking about it. Just making conversation. But anyway, Merab did a lot. And a lot of these guys that are fighting right now are much more skilled than any of the guys 20 years ago. I love those guys. Respect what they did. Love going back and watching their fights because they actually were better fights. They just threw down. They fought all the time. They scrapped it out no matter what. They fought hard and they fought all the time. And I much more enjoyed that than many of the fights that we get nowadays. The UFC's finishing percentage, some guy on Twitter has this whole stat thing. Go look for that. Go find it. But they were bottom 3 out of all professional MMA promotions in finishing rate. And I get it. It's the best in the world, and it's hard to compete against the best in the world and get finishes. But it's not fun to watch, man. Week in and week out, these cards are either meh or good or like, oh, that was great, or like you overstate how good it was just because there were a couple finishes on there. There are great cards with, I don't need lots of finishes on the cards. I just want fun fights that are outside of the Apex. And that gets me in a whole other tangent, whole other conversation. The Apex is great for the UFC. It's great for building up all your fighters that are prospects that do not have the resumes, do not have the ability to perform in front of a crowd perfectly, that are not ready for that level. It's perfect. The Apex is perfectly suited for all your up-and-comers, all your newly signed guys off of the Ultimate Fighter, all your questionable older veterans can fight in the Apex that nobody really cares about. But guys like Jim Miller, they need to be fighting in crowds until they retire. Stop putting these guys at the Apex. Make Apex fights even shittier than they are. People complain about how shitty the cards are. Put all your prospects that are unproven, that are one fight into the UFC outside of the Dana White's contenders, put them at the Apex for their first card. Have one Apex card a month where you just have, 8 or 9 fights instead of 14 or 15, and just put your prospects on that card and let them duke it out, man. And whoever comes through then gets to upgrade and gets to, graduate on to the regular fight nights. That's how it should work, man. You shouldn't get to go and participate in a crowd event unless you're a proven commodity, unless you're a proven star, unless you have some value that you can bring to the table in terms of being exciting. If you're not exciting, get the fuck back in the apex. We don't care who you are. Don't care that you're 2-3 in the UFC. You shouldn't be fighting on pay-per-views. Pay-per-views should be loaded from top to bottom with ranked fights. Fight nights should consist of local talent. If they're going to Iowa, if they're going to Kansas City, if they're going to New Jersey, have a lot of that card be filled with guys from around the area. But only if they're proven and have gotten past 1 or 2 fights at the apex where they're proven, like, okay, this guy is capable of actually hurting someone. That's how these fight nights should be lined up. Apex, you jump out, you come for it straight from the Dana White's Contender Series, you come straight from the road to the UFC, you come straight from Tough, jump right in to the Apex and have an Apex fight night, and have a fight night or have a main event that's kind of iffy, kind of like a Marvin Vettori, Roman Dolidze, perfect Apex main event. Jared Cannonier, RoboCop, perfect Apex main event because it has some stakes involved, but ultimately doesn't really matter at the end of the day when it comes to the title picture. Don't have fights that have anything to do with the title picture as your Apex main event. Have one good fight atop the bill with a couple of ranked fighters. That's it. And then the rest of that card should be prospects and old guys that you just want to get out of the UFC, okay? And they can market it that way. They don't have to say that the Apex is bad. We, the fans, can say they're shitty, but the UFC can promote it as like, this is the, the stomping grounds for all of our prospects. This is where they prove themselves and then get to move on to fight nights where they get to go compete locally where they were born and raised. Is that not something that is good? You could market it that way. So have an Apex, one Apex fight a month, one fight night, regular free fight night a month, maybe a second free fight night somewhere. They need to travel for all the fight nights and have maybe one Apex card a month where it's just your prospects and just your young guns that are unproven and not excited, maybe not exciting yet. Maybe they need to prove that they're exciting fighters and they can do damage in the right style matchup. So give everybody 2 Apex fights to start their careers. And if you go 2-0 or if you go 1-1, you had a really exciting fight, then you get to move on to the fight nights. Put the better fights in the crowds, okay? Stop giving us bullshit that we don't want to see in a random crowd that they have nothing to do with. Don't need to see that. But I do want to see Apex cards. They're essential, and I think they could be helpful if done the right way. And recently, I think the UFC's doing it right. I think they're putting one decent fight on top, and the rest of them are like kind of intriguing because of prospects. If they continue to do what they're doing and just put them the right way and stack them the right way, that's perfectly fine. And then fight nights, you get to move up. And the further up the cards you move up, you graduate from the Dana White's Contender Series and Tough and the road to the UFC. You graduate into the Apex, and then you have a couple fights in the Apex. You prove that you're a fun fighter, prove that you're fun to watch, prove that you scrap, prove that you do really well and have good performances and fight hard. Prove that at the Apex, and then you get to graduate to the fight nights on the road fight nights somewhere across the world. Then you have to work your way up that card. And then once you prove that you can work your way up that card, then you get moved to a pay-per-view. Once you get a ranking, once you're a legitimate fighter, then you fight. Then that's where the rankings come into play there, or some local guys, however you want to play it. But UFC pay-per-views, there should be this easy to follow straight line from Apex, fight nights, and then pay-per-views. Pay-per-views should be stacked to the gills with ranked fighters, and fight nights should have mostly local guys that are good, solid fighters that are fun to watch, that you want to show out and put on for the crowd. But the Apex should be the guys that are proving themselves. You have to prove yourself at the Apex, or you're an old head that's on his way out of the UFC, or it's some Dana White's Contender Series washout that had 3 fights and went 1-2. I don't care about those guys. Get them off my pay-per-view cards. Get those guys off of the Fight Nights cards. Put them in the Apex where they belong because we don't want to see them anymore. If you got a 3-fight contract, too bad. You have to prove yourself at the Apex if you want to graduate back into the fight nights or the pay-per-views. Sorry to say it. That being said, this Seattle card, main card, really, really solid. I know a couple of fights fell through. Who was it? Steve Garcia and Edson Barboza. That fight's completely off. Rob Font was supposed to be taking on Dominic Cruz. Now he's taking on Gene Matsumoto. This card, really fun stuff on the main card. Modestas Bukauskas and Sequeira, Nursultan Roziboyev taking on some rando. Austin Vanderford, for some reason, making his debut. Lance Gibson Jr. coming out of Bellator has been really impressive. He's a good prospect, 30 years old, fights out of the area. For some reason, not fighting in this one. Could have taken on Varetnikov at short notice there in that one. Stupid that they wouldn't sign a Lance Gibson Jr., some young up-and-coming guy that's actually proven on the professional scene, as opposed to half of these fucking guys that come out of the, Dana White's Contender Series. Nick Klein, I know he's taking this one on short notice, but he wasn't overly impressive in the Dana White's Contender Series. Mansour Abdul Malik, he's been looking really good. He's staying active. That's good for him. He's very, very green, but very, super athlete there. Ricky Simone taking on the older Basharat brother. The Basharat's kind of pitter-pat shots, not fun guys to watch as their competition has increased. I liked them coming up. I was really hopeful those guys could do something and be impressive, but as they've stepped it up in competition, I've been less and less impressed by them. They've kind of hit a wall in terms of how entertaining they're going to be against some of the better guys in the division. Andre Phelan taking on fucking Meziqual, or how the fuck you say his name, Costa. This guy's got alopecia. No, not alopecia. What does he got? Skin pigmentation. I forget what you call it. Anyway, dude, I'm blanking on the word. I just want to. It's at the tip of my tongue. Anyway, Andre Fili's probably gonna get the dub there. Ion Kutalaba and Ibo Aslan. That one's gonna be interesting at light heavyweight. Ibo Aslan's kind of on a tear lately. Meanwhile, Ion Kutalaba kind of on the downslide right now. Looking at his record, let's pull it up. Has he lost 3 in a row? No, he actually won his last fight against Arslan. Dude, tough for Ion Kutalaba. That guy's fun to watch, but man, he's 18-10 now. And Ibo Aslan, dude's clearly, I want to say clearly on the sauce, but I don't want to accuse anybody either. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's just built like that. The guy's been smashing through a lot of dudes. Let's see who his last couple of fights were. He only had 1 fight in the UFC. I could be wrong. No, he's had a couple. He had his Dana White Contender Series, Anton Turkaus, and then he took on Rafael Sequeira, who's fighting earlier on the card. He took him out easily. Dispatched of him. Ibo Aslan probably gets the job done there. Again, I'm not breaking all these down in a technical fashion. I'm just going through the card, looking at it. Julius Walker making his debut. I mean, again, why is Austin Vanderford making his debut on this card? You've got actual guys, again, like Lance Gibson Jr., fights out of the area, fun local guy. Why not? What are we doing here? Melsik Bagdasaryan and Gene Silva. Dude, Gene Silva, this guy's been absolutely fucking nasty. What he did to Charles Jourdain when he had him in the clinch and he kind of pulled him down onto the uppercut, go watch that highlight. Insane. This guy's putting together highlight reel after highlight reel without even trying. Melsik Bagdasaryan, though, dude is not the easiest customer. Not the easiest guy to deal with. I saw this earlier. The eyes of a fellow who will shock the world this weekend. This dude's got the slick back look. Fights out of, where does he fight out of? Armenia, I believe. Melsik Bagdasaryan, very, very good. Very, very tricky style. Very, very fun style. Lots of crazy attacks on the feet. Gene Silva, though, guy's just a dog. Dude just grits down on the mouthpiece, walks forward, and puts it on guys and just hurts guys. He's dangerous, and he hurts guys. That's what I like to see. I like to see somebody who's active and somebody who hurts guys, somebody who really does damage. That's what MMA is all about. Damage over everything. What scores points in MMA? Damage. Damage, damage, damage. So, that one's going to be a fun one. It wouldn't be wild if Melsik got it done, if he just kind of outpoints and sticks and move against Gene. But I think Gene, I trust that Gene will go out there, fight hard, and try to get something done. Anything. Just, I feel like he's going to get it done by some way, somehow, by finish in this one. I feel like Melsik could be winning early. Like he could kind of piece him up a little bit in the early going because he's fast. He's probably a little bit faster than Gene, who kind of flip-flops between featherweight and lightweight at this point. Just beat Drew Dober, though, and now he's taking a step back and fighting Melsik Bagdasaryan. Did nobody else want to fight him, or is this kind of a last-ditch scenario? Like, hey, Melsick, you're really fun to watch, but you never fight. You know, if you get the win, then you'll be a big star because you took out Gene Silva, vice versa. Gene Silva, if you take out a Melsick Bagdasarian, it's a tough style. You're on the Seattle card in front of the crowd, getting a good finish. Maybe that's the motivation there. Excuse me. So we'll see. Rob Font. No way Gene Matsumoto. No way he's the favorite right now. This guy's looked really, really good. He's the favorite right now. On like a week's notice, 2 weeks' notice. Wow. That's interesting. Very interesting. I'm going to lean Rob Font here myself. I think Rob Font gets it done. I think he can outwork him, outpace him, put it on the guy, kind of show him there's levels to the game. Gene Matsumoto, not ready for this. His last fight was Brad Katona. Brad Katona for real? Like, okay. Impressive. Did he finish Brad Katona? I don't believe he did. Let's pull this back up. Don't think he did. Yep, unanimous decision. He did sub Dan Argueta. Dan Argueta, kind of just a musclehead, not a great, like, technical fighter. Let's be honest here. If you know anything about Dan Argueta, guy's fun to watch. Comes in there, scraps, throws down, but not the best technical athlete. Gene Matsumoto, great prospect. It looked really, really fun on the come up. The guy put some good fights together on the regional scene. Guy's solid. Guy's really good. And if he gets the win here, I won't be shocked out of my mind just because it's such a change of style for Rob Font. But I think Rob Font is likely going to show him levels here. It's a catchweight fight. Rob Font's pretty big himself, 4 bantamweight, still in there. Still hanging tough. Dude shaved his head, looking older than ever, but like Rob Font's still getting wins, still putting it on some guys out there. And I've been impressed by what he's done over the last couple of fights, despite where we thought his career was going, not but like 2 years ago. I mean, look at Rob Font's record over the last, 4 fights. I mean, lost to Cheeto there. I mean, it was rough. Jose Aldo lost, Marlon Vera lost, and then he took out Adrian Yanez. Huge, shocking KO there. When was that? Back at 287. I mean, that was fucking wild. That was insane what he did. I was not expecting that whatsoever. I thought it was just going to be a fun back and forth between two boxers types, and he just fucking went in there and cleaned Yanez's clock in the first round. Crazy, crazy knockout there by Rob Font at his age. Corey Sandhagen lost. David Figueiredo lost. We've seen what both those guys have gone on to do since then. Like, pretty impressive stuff. Corey kind of fallen back a little bit, but Davison, like, he's gone on a hell of a run of bantamweight. Then he beat Kyler Phillips, fraud-checked Kyler Phillips. That was fucking wild. The fact that he put it on Kyler Phillips like he did, very impressed by Rob Font. I think ultimately at the end of the day, this weekend, he'll probably get it done. Maybe decision. I don't know. We'll see. This one's going to be a fun one. Late notice. At least they got something to fill in where they're with Gene Matsumoto. So good for him for taking the fight. And then Brendan Allen and Fluffy Hernandez. This is going to be a fun one. A rematch of their fight from, I believe, LFA years ago. They were both babies at the time, and they've both come a long way. And so this one's going to be interesting to see, like, who has definitely made the more evolved, who has become more evolved since their first fight. And I think I'd lean towards Anthony Hernandez in this one just because of how young and how kind of inexperienced he looked in their first fight. He still got the job done. Brendan Allen, fucking hell of a fighter, though. And I wish these guys were fighting up further in the rankings. I wish that these guys were higher in the rankings that they are, because I do not understand at all how a Marvin Vettori, who I can't even remember the last time he fought, Apollo Costa hasn't fought in a year, Roman Dolidze hadn't done shit, Jared Cannonier just beat RoboCop, who's unranked. Why are Anthony Hernandez and Brendan Allen not right behind Caio Bajallo at 7 and 8? This makes absolutely no sense, and I wish it was up further in the rankings. These guys are going to have to put like 2 more wins together after this. I wish this fight was happening after each of them beat a Marvin Vettori and a Jack Hermanson, for example. Let these guys fight separate from each other. They're both your younger guys. They're both your replacements for the Marvin Vettoris, for the Jack Hermansons, for the Jared Cannoniers. Have these guys fight the older guys and get the older guys out of there. I don't need to see Paulo Costa up there anymore unless he gets good wins. I don't need to see Jared Cannonier unless he's beating top-tier talent. I don't need to see Jack Hermanson unless he's beating top-tier talent. I don't need to see fucking Marvin Vettori. If he's not fighting for 3 years, put these guys ahead of him. You should have had these guys each fighting somebody else. I'm ultimately very happy that this fight's happening. It's going to be a great fucking fight between these two guys. But this should be happening one fight from now so that it's actually got title implications, not whoever wins this gets knocked back in the rankings and gets knocked out of the rankings potentially. Fuck that shit, man. These are two of the better guys. I think both these guys can beat a Marvin Vettori. I think both these guys could beat a Paulo Costa. I think both these guys could beat a Jack Hermanson. I think both these guys could arguably beat Jared Cannonier right now, and instead they're sitting 3-4 spots behind all of those guys I just listed. It's absolutely fucking insane how these guys are fighting right now as they're that low in the rankings. Half these guys fight those guys. I think both these guys probably beat Izzy right now. I'd argue these guys might even beat Robert Whittaker if he does not come back the same fighter that he was before the Hamzat fight. Hot take here. These guys might be the two best guys at middleweight outside of the top three. Brendan Allen got beat by Sean Strickland a while back. But these might be your two best guys. Middleweight fucking sucks right now, and I wish looking at these guys, it's not like, oh yeah, these are your definitive 4 and 5 in the division. They might just be, and that's what's kind of crazy about this. Middleweight right now just kind of stinks, and all the old heads are higher up in the rankings than they deserve to be, and I'm tired of how this shit plays out and how all the old heads in all the divisions, they just fight each other over and over and over again, and it's just this round robin of old guy versus old guy, old guy versus old guy, old guy versus old guy, old guy versus kind of old guy. Get the fuck out of here. Push these young guys. Let them take out the old heads. Let them take out the Paulo Costas. Let them take out the Jack Hermansons. Let them take out the Marvin Vettoris. Let them take out the Jared Cannoniers. Let them take out the Izzies. Why are we doing this? Silly. At the end of the day, though, I'm just glad that we get good fights. And I go on that rant just to say that at the end of the day, at least we're getting a good fight. I'm just sad that the loser of this then is now 6 fights away from the title, when in reality, this should be happening at like 4 and 5 in the division, these guys, and the loser is 3 fights away from a title instead of getting knocked all the way back in the rankings behind a Michel Pereira, who clearly showed that he could not fight past 1 round. Okay? Knocking this guy back to the level of a RoboCop. RoboCop, super fun to watch, love the guy, comes to fight every single time. But these guys are better than RoboCop, and now they're going to get knocked back to that same level. They're going to get knocked back to the same level of a Bo Nickel. Bo Nickel can barely strike on the feet, has great wrestling, but he can't strike. These guys mix it up. These guys are mixed martial artists. That's what fucking matters to me. I don't know who to pick here. Anthony Hernandez is the favorite, probably deservedly so. I think his scrambles and his ground game's probably more dominant than Brendan Allen is. Brendan Allen's good on the ground. He did sub Paul Craig. But it's Paul Craig in 2024, Paul Craig in 2025. Like, how much value are you going to put on that? That's up for you to decide. And finally, we get to the main event. Finally getting to the main event. Not sure why this fight was happening to begin with. Thought it could have easily been Rob Song Yadong and then Henry Cejudo in the rematch with Dominic Cruz, but ultimately we're here, and I think Henry Cejudo probably gave him the option. Hey, do you want Dom, or do you want Song Yadong, or do you want Rob Font? That was potentially could have been the UFC's conversation with Henry Cejudo, and ultimately he took Song Yadong because he knows that this is the greatest risk. This is the guy that puts him back in title contention. If he beats Song Yadong, he's right back in the title picture. Losses are what losses are at this point. Taking a year off at 38 years old now, Henry Cejudo. Does he have enough to get rid of Song Yadong, to put him away, to ride out a decision? Man, I don't know. Man, I don't trust it. Could he do it? Could he mix up the martial arts? like he never does. He doesn't mix up the martial arts. Great wrestler, great grappler, but he doesn't mix it. He likes to stand on the feet, play that, karate style, open, wide style. Song Yadong's got fucking power in his hands. When was the last time he knocked somebody out? Can't really remember, to be honest, right off the top of my head. Ricky Simone, 2023. Song Yadong not as active as I remember him being. He's got some good wins. Took out Marlon Moraes, Corey Sandhagen. Loss, of course, that was a doctor stoppage. I mean, he was on his way to having a competitive decision loss to Corey Sandhagen. That was a good fight. That was back and forth. That wasn't some dominant Corey Sandhagen victory. Corey just kind of he had that step-in elbow, cut him open. Beautiful there. Doctor stoppage, though. Deep, deep cut there. Ricky Simone, Chris Gutierrez, like guys that you should be beating at this stage. But this is like a coming and going of Song Yadong. Like, if he loses this fight, it's definitely not a good look for Song Yadong, considering the age of Henry Cejudo and the skill level of Henry Cejudo that we've seen of late. I don't know, man. This is going to be interesting. I'm going to go with Song Yadong here personally. I think he probably gets it done. I think he could probably put away Henry Cejudo. I think he could catch him. I don't think he's going to, like, one-hitter quitter knock out Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo's got a good chin. You know, the Mexican chin is one to behold that we've seen from many a guy. The Mexican chin, very, very tough, always holds up. But I think he could easily hurt Henry and then follow him up to the ground, lay some ground and pound on him and TKO him. That's potential there for Song Yadong. Song Yadong, 27 years old. It's like now or never to prove that you belong in the UFC's top 5. And this is the fight that he needs to win. Looking at the bantamweight rankings, we'll pull them up. Where do all these guys sit? Marlon Vera somehow above Cheeto. Cheeto is somehow above Henry Cejudo and Song Yadong and Rob Font. What has he done for us lately? Not too much. Not super impressive. Figueiredo's up there. Corey Sandhagen, Umar Nurmagomedov, Petr Yan. Yeah, I mean, Song Yadong launches himself right back above Figueiredo and Marlon, who would be coming off of losses. Corey also coming off a loss. Song Yadong could move up to that fucking 4th spot right off the bat. Sean O'Malley's still sitting at 1. Who's he going to fight? Sounds like it's maybe going to be Merab in the rematch. Could it be a Petr Yan rematch? It's obviously not going to be Corey Sandhagen. Corey Sandhagen seems like just got booked with Davison Figueiredo. That's going to be headlining a UFC Iowa card in May. That's going to be interesting to watch. Anyway, crazy stuff right now. I think Song Yadong probably gets it done. It's going to be a fun fight card. Good, solid main card. 9 p.m. Eastern start time for the main card, so a late one for anybody on the East Coast. Prelims, 6 p.m. Not a lot of fights on this card. 4 or 5 on the prelims, and then 4 or 5 on the main card. Smaller card, a lot of fights were falling off. Prelims, main card bouts falling off. Lance Gibson, sadly, not making his debut on this one. Kind of pissed about that, but it is what it is anyway. I think there were a couple fight announcements we could probably touch on. Like I said, Corey Sandhagen and Davison Figueiredo. That was a fun one that got announced. Let's see if we can pull anything else up. We'll go, who are we going to go to? Big Marcel. Big Marcel, always trustworthy. If you don't know who Big Marcel is, give him a sub. Dude's legit, always there, always with the best news, always quick on the feet with the fight announcements. Dude's a legend of the game. UFC's requested a permit to hold a Nevada event on May 31st at the UFC Apex. Great, love to see that they're back in the Apex for 2025. Like I said, if they use it the right way, the Apex is not a bad thing. Vince Pichel taking on Rafa Garcia, UFC Mexico, March 29th. That's going to be an interesting one. This is going to be a fucking fun one, though. Davison Figueiredo, Corey Sandhagen. The striking artist, the doctor himself, Corey Sandhagen. Taking up the guy, the former flyweight champion, the Marauder. Davison Figueiredo in a 5-round main event at UFC Des Moines, Iowa on May 3rd. That one's going to be fun. Any other fights for that card announced? Not necessarily. UFC Kansas City, though, on April 26th. Look at that. They're going back-to-back 2 weeks in a row. End of April and then beginning of May, they're going to be in Kansas City and then in Des Moines to follow up the next week. Maybe the UFC's fucking back to regularly scheduled away fight night cards on the road. I sure hope so. Matt Schnell just retired. Now he's back fighting Jimmy Flick, another guy who retired and came back. What the fuck does retirement even mean at this point? retirement in combat sports is not real. Just stop pretending that it even exists. That's a fun little flyweight scrap between two guys that have one foot out the door. Manon Fiorot confirms her fight. Here's the full fight card for UFC Seattle. Looking good. Fun poster. Gilbert Burns, Michael Morales, official. Oh, it's moving to UFC 315 in Montreal. Dude, that fucking sucks for Gilbert, man. That guy is from Miami. Michael Morales. Like, both these guys are from, like, where are they at? Brazil. Where's Michael Morales from? Colombia, maybe? The, South American guys. Very, very heavy Latin population down there in South Florida. I mean, these guys were tailor-made for a fucking Miami showcase bout, and now they're moving it to fucking Canada because the Canadian card is probably weak as shit when you have Natalia Silva taking on Alexa Grasso. That's going to be on the main card. You're going to have like 3 women's fights on the main card of a pay-per-view. Yuck. So they're going to have to bolster it up with this. This was perfect for Miami, bro. It's 2 guys from South America, heavy Latin population, big Latin population down there. Anyway, this gets back into the announcements from last night. Sean Woodson, Dan Ige. Prates versus Jeff Neal. Fucking banger. Fucking banger. Perfect step up for Prates here after beating Neil Magny. Belal Muhammad versus Jack Della Maddalena. Fun one. Shavkat, of course, got hurt. Now Jack Della Maddalena has been moved out of the Leon Edwards London fight card. Sean Brady stepping in, going to be taking on Leon in London. JDM's going for the belt after taking this long layoff due to injuries. Patricio Pitbull finally getting into the UFC after his dispute with the PFL and how the PFL is treating their fighters so poorly as of late. Now Patricio's got his chance against Yair Rodriguez kind of out of left field here. This one's going to be a fucking banger, dude. Fucking fun fight. This is going to be a barn burner. Somebody is getting put to sleep in this one, and I almost can guarantee that. Hardly can say that, but even a 38-year-old Patricio Pitbull still got heavy hands. Power is the last thing to leave you. Paddy Pimblett, Michael Chandler. This one's going to be an absolute all-out slugfest here. I predict that Michael Chandler gets it done. Hot take here. Michael Chandler might get it done. If Paddy doesn't play things smart and keep his chin tucked, might be lights out. I think Chandler could get to his chin over the course of 5 rounds. Otherwise, Paddy does get the sub here in this one. Michael Chandler, just not the smartest fighter anymore at this point. Just likes to go out there, guns a-blazing. Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez for the undisputed featherweight title. Many suspected this was going to be for the interim title with Ilia Topuria moving up to lightweight, but it looks like Ilia Topuria is vacating the featherweight belt, moving up, and it's going to be Diego Lopez and Volk in this fight. Can't wait for this one. Fucking awesome fight here. Diego Lopez on a hell of a run. Volkanovski coming off a couple of losses. Can he get back on the winning track? Can he get back on the high horse? Get back to featherweight supremacy? We will have to wait and see. And then, of course, Sean Brady, Leon Edwards for that London main event as Jack Della Maddalena has been moved out of it. Sean Brady, the grappler, the wrestler, did not have anything on the docket, was trying to get the Leon Edwards fight, was trying to get the Usman fight, and instead he ultimately ends up getting what he wanted on late notice. On short notice, he'll be taking on Leon Edwards at the UFC London card. Fun matchup between a striker and a grappler. That one is going to be all action from start to finish in that one. Somebody is going to implement their game plan. Somebody is going to take out the other guy using their skill. So we'll see how that one plays out at the end of the day. Song Yudong here. And that is kind of what it is. We're going to close it out there, close the show, and bring things to a close as we close out today's show. Anybody want to comment out there? Don't fucking care. It is what it is. I'm closing this shit out. Thanks, guys. Anybody that tuned in. See, we got a couple of views on this thing. Awesome hanging out here. Whatever. It is what it is. This is just fun. This is just part-time. I ain't trying to be famous. I ain't got an ego. This is what it is. Having fun out there, and I hope anybody that sees this enjoyed the show. Of course, we went over some of the news from yesterday. We'll take one last look at the top headlines of Twitter. More of the Ilia Topuria stuff. Do you guys think that he's going to be taking on Islam Makhachev, or has he got to take on a contender first? Islam Makhachev seems to think that Ilia needs to prove himself at lightweight first. Fight Oracle getting into some shit. We'll call it quits there for tonight. And that'll do what that'll do. So, anyway, I'll get out of here. It's late. Go to bed. Sleep well. Do something nice for somebody tomorrow. And I'll see you all next